You ever find a great local business and think, why didn't I know about this sooner? I'm Eric Bull, and on Small Business Big Dreams, we're uncovering the best places to shop, the top experts to trust, and the stories behind the businesses that make life just better. Whether you're a shopper, a business owner, or just someone who loves a great success story, this podcast is for you. So let's dive in and meet the people behind the businesses you wish you'd have found sooner.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Small Business Big Dreams. We are well into season 2, and I finally got to sit down with a local favorite hotspot of mine. I'm sitting down with Nick today of Andy's Records in Grays Lake. Welcome, man.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm super excited to kind of talk about your story, how we got him to. But how about first give us like an elevator pitch background of who you are and what you're doing before you started a record shop.
Sure, yeah. Let's see. I'm a lifelong musician. Ran a small independent record label in Chicago during my early 20s, and also someone who does location sound recording for film and television production for my day job. So I've done that since my early 20s. Still do it.
Love it.
Yeah.
So you're totally judging my audio setup right now.
I love it. It's great. Yeah.
Well, very cool. So give us the elevator pitch then on what is Andy's Records.
Sure, yeah. Andy's Records started kind of as a way to honor my dad, Andy, after he passed away. He was a big lover of music. I got a lot of my passion of music from him. We bonded a lot over music. And like I said, I ran a record label in my early 20s. I had sort of stopped doing that around my late 20s, early 30s, and had started a family, had moved out here to Grays Lake, and was looking for something to keep doing involving music, just to keep my interests, I don't know what the right word is, but just, just to sort of keep myself involved. And I inherited my dad's record collection after he passed away and decided to use it as a nucleus for the shop.
Love that. Yeah. How many records did he have?
It was about 778, so the really old ones.
Yeah. When my uncle passed, he had, I think, something over like 400 of them, and I was like, I didn't even know what to do. Like, to even get through all of them, man, it took a hot minute.
Yeah, and this was a collection that had been curated for him by his father-in-law, who had 10,000 78s in his basement in Iowa.
Oh my God!
So this was a collection pared down from that of stuff that was just what my dad's father-in-law thought my dad would like.
Interesting. So, what did it, like, the genres spread all over, or was there like one hyper focused?
It was pretty focused on blues and jazz.
Love that.
And, which was what my dad really loved. Yeah.
I was a good friend of mine, really well, Mark Tantillo. We were making a bet on how many times I was going to screw up today, calling you Andy over Nick. And it's like,
that happens all the time. It's kind of a badge of honor, though, so I don't mind at all.
And people just walk in assuming you're Andy
all the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
So walk us through the time frame. When did you open Andy's? And I know are you on your second or third location?
Second
location. So kind of walk us through that.
Yeah, we opened Andy's in April of 2023, and we were in a small office suite.
That place was so small
next to the fire department down there in downtown Grays Lake. And it was great. It was a perfect starter spot for us to, sort of test the waters and make sure that it was a viable thing to do. And we got a great response, started building a really great community, but, saw immediately that we were, a complete hole in the wall and hidden, and only people who knew we were back there were coming back to find us. So we jumped on an opportunity to move out closer to Center Street in April of 2024. So just last April.
Oh my God, almost a year already.
We moved.
Wow.
Yeah, we've been there for almost a year now. We moved over to Whitney Street, and we're right just a couple doors down from the diner on Whitney Street there now.
Yeah, you guys probably walked over everything.
I literally did walk over cabinets with records in them. We just put them on four-wheel dollies one at a time.
Just rolled them over.
Rolled them down the street. Yeah, it was cheaper than dealing with renting a truck or anything. So,
I know it's what we're going at. You said October 23. So what? A year and a half now, a little longer.
It was April 2023 when we first opened. So we're coming up on 2 years.
Yeah. What was some of the first I don't know. I want to say problems. That's not even the right word. Like challenges you ran into that you kind of just weren't even expecting.
Yeah. Well, the biggest challenge at first was just stockpiling large enough inventory of used vinyl to open my doors and have my cabinets full. So, we opened in April 2023, but I think I made the decision to sign the lease there and actually go for it on opening the store closer to the end of 2022, very beginning of 2023.
Okay.
So I spent, close to 6 months trying to hunt down collections of used records I could buy that had good stuff in it and literally just find stock because it was tough to find good used vinyl to have our cabinets filled with to open up the doors. So that was my first big challenge, and I spent a lot of combing through the dregs of Facebook Marketplace and garage sales and estate sales and stuff like that, which is just really tough to find good stuff because it's actually surprisingly competitive. People are at estate sales, before they open up to throw elbows and be the first one to get to look through the vinyl that's there. So that was tough, just amassing enough used vinyl to be able to open the store at first.
Yeah, because it seemed, as you know, vinyl has made a massive comeback.
Yeah.
Massive. And like, my very tiny vinyl collection sits next to me even. So when you go and like try to get this, this stock, were you forced to buy in bulk and then go through it, or were you able to like cherry pick?
No, a little bit of both.
Okay.
But a lot of times it was buying, at first at least some bulk collections and, taking the good and the bad. I had a sort of mentor who was giving me guidance along the way, who owns a record store in Vermont.
Okay.
And he was telling me, you just got to get through this part. As soon as you open your doors and have a store, people are going to start bringing it to you, and you're going to have much better selection and all of that. But, you just kind of need to get what you can to fill your bins and open your doors.
Just have stuff.
So there was a couple of key purchases in that period that really sent me along the way. One was a marketplace purchase that I made. Somebody who was selling online out of his apartment and was getting ready to be done with it and just wanted to get rid of everything.
His whole inventory.
And then the other one, I was on the road for my day job doing location sound for an HGTV show.
No big deal.
And I was in Kentucky in the middle of nowhere.
Really?
And on Marketplace, I found this guy who basically had turned his garage into a record store. He had thousands of LPs lined up in boxes on tables in his garage, and you could call them and go over there, and he would just open up the garage doors, and it was like, and you could shop through and buy whatever you wanted. So I went over there and I shopped through, and I started talking with him about if he would sell all of it to me or a large part of it.
Yeah.
And he was reluctant at first. He didn't want to part with it. But his wife was over there in the corner going, yeah,
take it,
sell it all. Yeah. So I left my info with him. I was in town for a couple more days, and I honestly didn't think I was going to hear from him. And we were on our way out of town, and he called me, and he said he would sell me, I can't remember what it was, about 2,000 LPs, something like that. It was about a third of his collection.
Still a good
maybe even a quarter of it. So I ended up taking a rented minivan, filling it up with as many LPs as I could, and driving back from Kentucky to back here to Grays Lake just to get that stuff back here.
Damn.
And I still have some of that we're working through. So
okay,
those two purchases really
was like the cornerstone of
that.
it. Yeah.
That made it so that we had enough good stuff to fill up our cabinets and open the doors.
You kind of alluded to it, but you buy as well vinyl? So if I had some stuff,
yeah, I buy and trade. So people bring me stuff every single week, and I can give you credit or cash, and not everything. We look through it and we see what we can resell. But yeah, we do buying appointments every single week.
Are you? Because I feel like I did that with my uncle's set, and like they didn't want like 95%.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah.
And especially, our new space is a lot bigger than the tiny one we started in, but I still have very limited space for backstock. And I don't have the ability to just take everything from people and
figure it out later.
throw away the stuff that nobody wants. I don't even have the village won't even let me have a dumpster in the alley back there. There's just so many dumpsters back there already. So I'm like, I deal with trash on my own already. I can't be throwing out LPs.
So what do you do with
people.
trash then if you don't have a dumpster?
We share with some of the other businesses, and then I bring stuff home as well.
Well, fortunately, you're not like in the food space or something like that.
And also, luckily the village has the recycling drop off
I use it all the time.
right over there, and there's all those, so it's really easy, and that's not far from the business, so that's really easy to just drive stuff over there also.
So you deal probably mostly with cardboard anyway. I mean, it's just shipping stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot of just recycling. But
is there, I would say, like a genre, or like, I don't want to say you have a bounty on, but like certain things you're looking for that you're trying to get into the store?
Generally, we're just looking for stuff that's in really good shape, and titles that people are interested in buying. Yeah, so that's usually a lot of classic rock, or anything that's sort of newer from there. Late 90s, like 90s stuff and 2000 stuff is always sort of coveted, just because they weren't pressing a lot of vinyl at the time. A lot of that stuff's getting reissued now, and you can get reissues, but the original pressings are still sort of collector's items.
They're still sought after.
Yeah, so a lot of that stuff just goes right away, if it comes in at all.
Kind of have like an industry question for you. What do you think revitalized the vinyl scene? Like, what brought that back?
I think it was just a natural response to the digital era with the music industry. People went from having these huge collections, pared them down to CD collections, pared them down to MP3 files on hard drives, pared it down to streaming service subscriptions. And I think there's still something music lovers some people want to collect, whatever that is. There's just a human instinct to collect. And for music lovers, I think there's nothing better to collect than an LP. You got the art as big as you can have. You can hold it in your hands. You can flip through the liner notes. You can read all the info which you want to, which is all stuff I like to do when I'm diving into a record and listening to it. So I think it's just the natural point we've reached. A lot of people, and I do both. A lot of people, they stream music, and then they also have their record collection. And I just think it's the nice thing to collect. Also, a lot of people prefer the sound. Obviously,
I do too.
Yeah. So.
And I like, for me, it was a piece of like, I actually own it. There's the great debate of everything's a subscription. There's everything's a stream. Everything. It's like, no, I own it. That is mine. And that's that's kind of I guess just a different way of saying collecting, right?
Yeah, and it's also a connection to history, because usually they're pre-owned items, and somebody bought it when it came out, and it's been through however many owners before it reached you.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of people like having that connection to the past as well.
And I can't not. I mean, the sound out of a vinyl is just, there's nothing that competes to it. It's just so good. Like, so my favorite artist all time, Carlos Santana. Like, his vinyls, I mean, there's nothing like that for me. It's put that on, I'm done.
Nice. Yeah, actually, Santana was one of my dad Andy's all time favorites as well.
Really?
Yeah. He and I saw Santana together when I was in high school.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It was I was supposed to see him when he came to Ravinia, and I got so sick, and I was like, I don't care, like, pull me in a wheelchair, get me out there, and I'm so bummed. He's getting up there in age now, and I'm like, I still think he has his Vegas standing show, but I gotta get out there before it's too late.
Yeah. So you did or didn't?
Didn't, unfortunately. Like,
okay.
I wanted so. I was like, everyone felt so bad for me, because there was just no way I was getting there.
Oh, that
I
sucks.
was so sick, and it was like, and I'd be doing like such a disservice to everybody like around. Like, I'm like, I don't care, put me in a gas masks or something, I don't care. And I couldn't get there. I was so pissed.
Sounds like a trip to Vegas is in your near future.
Darn, twist my arm. Let's talk. Where do we want to go? I know there's not a ton, but there's definitely a handful of record shops, right? Like, I know of one up on 120. Oh my God, why am I blanking on the name of it already? But
Reef Records.
Reef,
Yep.
yes.
Yeah,
Like,
I think there are 3 or 4 in Lake County.
yeah.
And obviously a lot more in Cook County, and actually a few in McHenry County as well. Yeah.
I know Woodstock's definitely got one.
Yeah.
So I guess, the ultimate question, why shop at Andy's versus Reef or something? And then like, what's the community like between the different shops? Are you guys play nice? Is it a shark eat shark kind of world? What does it look like?
Yeah, I mean, in general, although other record store owners that I know are super friendly with each other, it's a tight-knit community. Sometimes we'll even trade stock with each other, if we can find mutually beneficial things that, one store has that another one needs. So yeah, it's a really great community. To answer the other question as far as why shop at Andy's, I mean, we've got a really well curated selection. We've got a little bit of everything, and we're ordering new stuff in every week. So we're always happy to custom order anything you're looking for that we don't have. And we've got a really wonderful community of music lovers that have banded together around our store, which has really been awesome. And we're doing everything we can to foster that. So we have monthly shows, monthly in-stores in the store. We've started filming those and launched a YouTube series, Andy's Records Live.
That's so
which
cool.
is like our kind of tiny desk series. We do a vinyl listening club that meets once a month in the shop, which is like a book club where we pick an album and we listen to the whole thing on vinyl, and we sit around in a circle and we eat and drink and talk about it and just nerd out on music and dissect the album. So we do, and actually this week, which I mean will probably be in the past by the time this goes out, but we're starting a open mic that will be
that's so
every
awesome.
other month in the shop on a Friday night, and an open mic where anybody in the community who wants to come have a chance to perform, whether it's music or stand up or spoken word or whatever.
Yeah.
Come express yourself. So yeah.
I love now that you guys got the more space to do that kind of things.
And those are the things we always wanted to do. We didn't have the space to do in the old shop, so we're just doing our best to pounce on those opportunities and do everything we can in the new space.
How are so you've got your daytime job still, right?
Yeah.
And you've got a record shop, and you've got, family. How are you figuring out, how do you balance all that?
It's tough. I'm busy all the time. Luckily, my day job, I'm a self-employed freelancer. So I have a regular job I alluded to with an HGTV show where I do the sound, but I go out of town about 1 week a month for that.
Oh, okay.
And I get to be home the rest of the time. So I've got the rest of that time to focus on running the store, helping with my family, doing all the other things that I do. So, yeah.
Are you the only employee? Like, are you do it all for the shop?
My wife and my mother-in-law and I are basically the only employees, yeah. So if I'm out of town for my day job, then it's either my wife or my mother-in-law at the shop, pretty much.
Whole family gets involved. I love that.
It's a family affair. As soon as my kids are old enough, I'm sure I'll leave them in charge as well.
Here's the keys. Your problem
exactly,
now.
yeah.
We kind of talked. We talked about that. What? I guess so. Is this the first business? Like, I mean, freelancer. Everyone says that's running a business or owning a business, right? But is this like your first like store, like, or anything like that you've ever owned before?
It's my first retail location, brick and mortar retail type of store. Long story long.
I love that.
I grew up in a family that had a generational business. My dad and uncle ran a bridal shop in Minneapolis that my grandfather had started.
Interesting.
That store was there in downtown Minneapolis for 60 plus years. And then I grew up around that. I also grew up in the summers working at my dad's ice cream parlor at the Minnesota State Fair. So I was around family businesses and, this sort of entrepreneurial spirit my whole life growing up. And then I mentioned earlier when I was around 2021, my best friend and I started a record label. So I ran an independent record label.
You're so nonchalant about it.
We were musicians. We were playing in bands.
Yeah.
We wanted to put out our friends' music.
Yeah.
And so we just started a label to put out our own stuff and our friends' stuff, and spent basically my entire 20s doing that. And we flirted with opening a record store then.
Okay.
And we never pulled the trigger on that. But so it was something that had always been in the back of my mind as something I was interested in doing. So when we settled in Gray's Lake, I saw right away what a great downtown business district there was, and that it was growing, and that there was some real opportunity there. And I knew I wanted to jump on a chance to open up a business in Gray's Lake, because also I wanted to get my foot out the door of being gone and traveling, doing location sound recording all the time. So I sort of started to let the seed grow of the idea of opening up a record store in Gray's Lake, and started looking around everywhere for buildings and places that could be right. And I needed something that was very affordable to start. So that's why when I saw those little office suites over there on Holly, I was like, what are those and how much could those cost? And so that's how we ended up there.
Love that. We I've been in talks with a couple people now. I feel like spend forever of finding the right building within Gray's Lake to be like a business incubator, where like and I would totally rip it off the model. Like Woodstock does a great job. They've got one. They turn the old bank into one where, it's a huge building, but like your business would have started perfectly in there. It's like only like 200 to 300 square feet of, and 10 different businesses maybe of trying to just get, first step into a brick and mortar or something like that. And just letting them that kind of gateway into not full-blown retail yet, and really understand if that's something they want to do, if that's really their beast, or, it needs that growth before they can move into a full storefront. But
for sure.
And that's putting that out in the universe, because we need the right building.
Right on. Yeah. Well, we'll talk. I might have a couple ideas for you.
Ooh.
Yeah.
See, this is why I mentioned it. You got to put it out in the universe, and maybe you'll find it. What... obviously now you've had the store for almost 2 years now. You've done things before. What is something that process or running a business has taught you about yourself? I'll just shut up there and see what.
Wow. Oh man. What has it taught me about myself? I mean, definitely, shown me some strengths and some weaknesses.
Areas of opportunity.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Some areas for opportunity for growth. But I don't know. I guess, it's shown me that, one of my strengths is pulling people together and building community. And that's something we did when we ran the record label with, lots of live events and connecting bands and artists and, musicians all together. And something that's carried over here with this. It's also shown me, and I didn't realize until I started doing it again, how much I like organizing concerts and parties.
Okay.
Something I did a lot when we were running the record label and had sort of stopped doing, and then started doing again for the record store, and was like, oh wait, I forgot how much I like doing this.
Love that,
So
yeah.
So that's part of the reason, that we try to have a lot of parties and events at the shop, because it's just something we like doing, and my wife likes doing it with me, and the two of us have a good time doing it together. So
I was gonna say, if the partner, if she's not in on it, man, that gets tough
for sure. Yeah.
My wife, she calls me the serial hobbyist. It's like if I start getting into something, like I all out in it, but like 2 years later, it's a new one.
Yeah.
And she's like, some of them she's absolutely hated. She's just like, what are you doing? And then some of them it's like, all right, this is cool. So I always appreciate the ones where it's like she gets involved. We like it together, because man, it is definitely a different vibe at home if she does.
For sure. I definitely have some home brewing equipment collecting dust in my garage. So.
Was that a COVID hobby?
It was before COVID, actually.
Oh, wow.
It was when the brewing craze was really big,
big.
and a buddy of mine and I would brew together, and we did it 3 or 4 times, and then he moved to Minneapolis, and now that stuff's just collecting dust in my garage.
I did it twice. I was like, and I'm like, now there's so many craft beer places. I was like, I'll just go drink somebody else's.
Exactly. Yeah. They make it better than I do.
Yeah, it was so, and I got into the big barbecue phase, did all that. It's always been something, but. We all have 20/20 hindsight.
That's right. Yeah,
we all do. What is something you would have done differently with the shop now 2 years later?
Oh man, what would I have done differently with the shop? I'm not sure. That's a tough one. I maybe would have.
You did it perfectly.
Yeah, I did. I think I nailed it. I
perfect,
really think
man.
I nailed it. No, I don't know. I'd have to think harder on that one. But yeah, I don't have a good answer for you. I might have to come back to that.
I'm gonna let you dwell on that.
Yeah,
one.
let me dwell on it.
Then let's talk about what's your least favorite part of running the business.
My least favorite part of running the business is having to work on weekends every single weekend. And that's
a very common response.
Real sacrifice my wife and family and have to make. That we're always busy on weekends now. We have to find ways to juggle that. But I don't know. It's a sacrifice I so far have been able to make within reason. I think you know you just have to be willing to draw some boundaries and say, you know, it's okay if we're not open this weekend, so that my family can take a vacation for a couple days. And
You have to.
you just have to. That's something that I learned early on speaking with my mentor who owns the other record store. He told me right away, you know, balancing the work and personal life is something you have to learn how to do, and you just have to set strong boundaries and stick to them. Otherwise, you know,
You're always working.
yeah, otherwise you're always working, and your family's going to be mad at you all the time.
If you don't mind me asking, how old are your kids?
My kids are 5, 6, and 9.
Oh.
No, the 6-year-old turns 7 in a week, so they're basically 5, 7, and 9. Yeah.
Okay. Now, and the reason I ask is, so, you know, they get to the point, like maybe even the 9-year-old's already starting when they start getting involved in things, right? Like
Yeah.
you got sports, you've got after school stuff. So it's curious then how, you know, I've heard some of the, other businesses we've met, how they balance that. You know, it's like, well, you know, the parents who never at the football games, or the dad never took me to t-ball, you know, and things like that. And so it gets interesting as they get older. You know, the younger years, it's like you want to be there, and it's, you know, it sucks missing things, but one, it's horrible to say, but they might not quite remember yet.
Right.
But then it's like you start getting in the years where they're going to remember, they're going to feel it. You don't want to miss it either, right? You
For
know,
sure.
It's like, but
And that for me was a big part of the reason I wanted to start getting my foot out of the door of being on the road
travel.
all the time,
Yeah.
doing the
Okay.
location sound stuff. So for me, the more I can be home in Grays Lake and at the record store, the better, versus, you know, being traveling somewhere across the U.S. For a week at a time.
yeah, I mean, it's nice that it wasn't all, I guess, you know, once a month. You know, there's some people, it's like, I used to have a job where I'm on the road almost 300 days of the year.
Yeah.
Like-
I'm down to once a month now. We used to do 2 episodes a month, or I used to do 2 a month, which was, you know, they're like 5-day stints, so it was like being gone for 2 weeks out of
Yeah.
4 each month. So now being down to once a month is a lot more
better.
manageable for sure.
Well, and it's just, again, it's just being around, you know, it's just,
Yep.
just family dinner, right?
But
Stuff
I always
like
say the perk with that is, you know, I typically, you were saying you were on the road 200 days a year, something like that.
Yeah.
I typically was working 150 days a year, which meant I had 150 to 200 days a year that I was home. And so that's always the trade-off in the way I looked at it is, you know, I could be working a 9 to 5 here in town, but you only see me at night, basically. But with, you know, doing what I do, and what I love about, you know, doing what I do is getting those 200 days a year where I'm home with the kids on a
Oh,
weekday
and you're totally
or
done.
whatever.
You're like totally not.
I don't bring any of that work home with me. I
okay.
literally record. I'm the guy standing behind the camera with the boom pole and the headphones on, and I record the audio that needs to get recorded there that day, and I walk away from it. Somebody else deals with it after the fact.
That's
Yeah.
the part I was missing, because I was like, all right, well, when you get home, you're editing, doing things, you know, whatever, consulting, you know.
No, yeah,
whatever
they,
you do.
they pay somebody else to do that, so
That's
I'm
awesome.
done. That's
So
my favorite part about what I do.
So yeah, so you're gone for a week, but when you're back, you're back. You're
Yeah.
home. You're involved. You're completely there.
Yeah, other than occasionally prepping gear for before a shoot, which doesn't take a whole lot, but for the most part, my work stays at work, which is great.
I'm gonna ask this because I'm curious. What's like a budget friendly shotgun mic that, like, if like I was doing like a video that I should get?
Sure, yeah. A good budget friendly one, I would say it's the Sennheiser MKH 416. It used to be like the default boom microphone that every film set had. Now a lot of sound guys, you know, use some more expensive, newer ones.
Okay.
But those 416s are still great workhorse shotgun mics, and you can get them. You know, you can get a used one pretty cheap, or even a new one fairly affordably.
What when you say cheap? What are you thinking?
I think you could probably get a used 416 for like $600, somewhere around there. I think new ones retail for maybe a little less than $1,000, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, and compared to some of them I've seen out there, I mean, there was, you know, well into the 5 figures.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, for sure.
So for $600 to get a good shotgun mic, I would always, I go down the YouTube Academy route, and like I watch, 10 different reviews and like they all conflict to each other. It's like, what the hell? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what to get anymore. It's paralysis at that
Yeah,
point.
and they're all for, they all have such nuanced little differences. Like, ultimately, if you just need one, pick something, that's a good workhorse for the type of stuff you're doing. But yeah.
I'm going to pick your brain on audio stuff probably at some point.
Cool. Yeah. Anytime.
I can do the video and photo side of it, but then when it comes to audio, man, it's just like, and it's so important. It's like, it's so underrated how important it is. I'd rather shooting, freaking some 8-bit old film camera but then have good audio.
Nobody thinks about it until it's messed up, and then it's a problem. Like you can deal with some messed up video. You can find another image to use. If
it's grainy,
it's
an effect.
Exactly, but if the audio is ruined, there's not a whole lot you can do.
You can't bring it back.
Yeah.
Let me tell you. And Sandra, if you're listening, you can't pull out chewing gum. So FYI. So I'm always going to put her on blast.
You can add it in though if you want.
Well, very cool. So with Andy's, do you have, I don't know if strategy is the right word, but like what's the goal, right? Like, are you trying to, you want 10 franchises? Do you want to
Sure. Yeah. No, I don't.
No.
I'll start with that. No, I don't want 10 franchises. The goal is to be able to be open, maybe 5 days a week instead of the 4 that we are now. I don't know if we'll ever go to 6 or 7 days a week.
Not worth it.
I don't know if it'll be worth it. But the goal would be to do it full time and get out of traveling, doing production audio, and just getting to be here in Grays Lake with my family all the time, running the record store, which is my happy place.
Which almost segues. How would you measure the success? Be able to quit the freelancing.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like the store's going great. We've got a wonderful community. It's self-sustaining as far as the business we're doing, but I am nowhere near being able to quit my day job. So that would be my ultimate benchmark of success.
Yeah.
I'd say. Yeah.
I always like this question. If money was no object, what would you buy for the store or for the business?
Oh, man, if money was no object, I would invest in a really wonderful PA system for us for when we do our live shows,
Nice.
And just so it could sound really great. And I would, line the right pockets that I need to in the village, and I would build like a rooftop patio on top of that building.
Oh, my God.
Which would just be so great, I think. But that's my
you
real
would need
pipe
a lot
dream.
of money for that.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that First Draft right around the corner. They got
it's the best.
that view, that second floor, man. They got to get some bands up there and stuff. Going,
and it's mostly open for private events, but they got to get it open more regularly for the public because it's the best rooftop patio around. Yeah.
Oh, and I would put up for argument one of the best in Lake County.
Yeah,
for sure. And that, I know that's a small competition, but we have it right here in Grays Lake. So, what was I gonna ask? I had a really great question. Oh, if somebody was looking to get into vinyl, never bought vinyl before, like what's kind of like some like 2 or 3 tips of like what should I, from a vinyl player to what should I be looking for? Not doing good, the bad, the ugly.
Sure, yeah. First thing, avoid Crosley and Victrola when it comes to buying your first record player. You'll save a few bucks, but they're really cheaply made. They use these ceramic cartridges that bore away at the grooves of your record.
Oh, no shit.
And so it's just, they look cute. They make a lot of those suitcase ones with the built-in speakers.
Yeah.
They look cute. They're, $70, $80. They're really affordable, but they're crap, and they are ultimately going to ruin your records if you stick with it. And for, $30 more, you can get a really decent entry-level Audio-Technica or something like that. That's a much better turntable. So that'd be my first tip. And then after that, just have fun. Go to as many record stores as you can and dig through stuff and buy stuff that you love, that you want to have to listen to. Buy stuff that, seems new and interesting to explore, because I think there's nothing more fun than grabbing a record and just literally judging it by its cover and saying, this looks interesting, I want to hear what it sounds like, and just buying it. It's kind of judging it by its cover, but it's also kind of not, because you're taking a chance on something you haven't heard maybe.
I love
that. But just have some fun with it and start collecting all types of stuff that you enjoy.
I'm gonna double click on the vinyl player. How much does the needle matter?
Surprisingly, it makes a huge difference with the sound. Now, how much it matters, the one that comes on your turntable that you buy is going to work just great. Like I said, if it's not a Crosley or a Victrola, it's not going to do any damage to your records. But it's kind of like the microphones when we were talking about. If you want to start investing more and more money into it as you get more and more into it, and if you're someone who becomes a real audiophile and can really hear a difference, you can spend tens of thousands of dollars buying a new stylus, and it really sounds great. You can really hear an improvement in the sound when you switch it. But it's not. There's nothing wrong with the basic one that's on your player when you buy it either.
I'm going to ask you one more thing about vinyl players because I got a lot of shit for this. So, halfway decent vinyl player, right? But then you hook up wireless speakers for the audio. Doesn't that defeat the purpose?
You could say so, yeah. I mean, you are taking an analog listening experience and you are digitizing it and most likely compressing the audio signal as it sends Bluetooth. In theory, if your Bluetooth turntable sends to the Bluetooth speakers at the exact same Bluetooth format, then you can do it lossless and you're not getting a compressed Bluetooth signal. Yeah. But I think that most people are not going to the lengths it would take to make sure that were the case. So yes, in theory, you are diminishing your analog listening experience. But I would say that it's probably not audible to most people's ear. Yeah. And if it's a lot more convenient for you and it makes it so you can or will listen to records when you wouldn't, then I'd say just do it because, the key is to have fun and listen to music. So if that's what's going to help you listen to more music, then I say go for it.
So for the record, guys, technically, no pun intended on that one, my speakers are wired right now, but they have the Bluetooth capability. So when we have parties, I move them so the house can hear them. But some of my audiophiles, Mark, I'm talking about you, give me shit that it's like, well, then what's the point? And I'm like, I get it. Yeah, you're going, it's like you're listening analog and then making it digital. So he's like, just stream it. I'm like, oh. Yeah, all right.
You can, if you really want to, and I can send you an article that a buddy of mine just sent me. You can, get a few little extra pieces and hook it up so that you can, both have it playing off of your regular speakers and then also streaming to another set of, Bluetooth speakers or something if you want. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
So there's some setups you could do for stuff like that.
Yeah, make everybody happy.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see. What was going to... we kind of talked about it. You got a lot of different events planned up for 2025, but anything else in the books for this year that it's going to be a kind of maybe a game changer or something new for you guys?
I mean, the big thing for us right now is the YouTube channel. We just launched that, and we're putting our second episode out next week, and so we'll have a new performance video out, hopefully basically every month going on from here forward, which is fun. And then the open mic, which I mentioned, so cool. Which is going to be an every other month thing. So this first one will be at the end of February. Next one will be April, and so on. So every other month we'll have an open mic at the shop. Other than that, we are booking and starting to plan for doing Andy Fest again, which we did last summer, which Mark participated in, helping us out with the jazz brunch, which was really great.
The food was so good.
Oh, yeah. The food from the Corn Kitchen was just amazing. Yeah. And the service wasn't bad either.
It was all right.
But so we're going to do that again. That's another tribute to my dad. I mentioned blues and jazz was his favorite. New Orleans Jazz Fest was his happy place. Oh, he went to 10 consecutive New Orleans Jazz Fests between, I want to say, 2005 and 2015, something like that. And so we decided, late August was when his birthday was. We decided that we're going to start, once every year doing a mini jazz fest. So last year it was just one day. Mm-hmm. We had the jazz brunch in the morning. We had 3 more performers throughout the day. This year it'll probably just be one day again. Maybe it'll be 2, but we're going to just keep doing it every year and adding to it bit by bit. So we're gonna be doing Andy Fest again this summer in August. So
It'll get so big we'll have to close down Whitney Street.
That'd be a good goal, you know.
Yeah.
And bring some good, you know, jazz and R&B and funk and soul acts, and because you know Pearl Jam is headlining New Orleans Jazz Fest this year, so they are very liberal with their use of the word jazz.
Yeah. Pearl Jam is opening up the Jazz Fest. Interesting.
To be fair, I think you could consider what Eddie Vedder does vocally scat, maybe you know.
Yeah. You're stretching. You're like defending that.
I am,
right?
yeah. I'm just looking for a connection.
If we look hard enough, we could find one, right? I'm curious your thoughts, and maybe not at all. I think actually what's helped you is how like AI / technology in general has affected, you know, your business, your industry. Would say there's been so much technology, it's revamped the analog your industry. But correct me if I'm wrong or if I'm missing something else too.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to vinyl, the big one is Discogs, which is the online marketplace. It's like eBay for records, CDs, and literally everybody who collects or sells vinyl around the world, for the most part, is using it, selling on it, whatever. You can track down almost any release that ever has come out and find out what format it's been released on. And if somebody has it and is trying to sell it, they're likely selling it on there. So that's a big game changer. You know, it also makes it so that everybody thinks that the records they have are worth $1 million, but it's huge. It lets people get their finger on the pulse of sort of a market value for a piece of vinyl or a CD, and it also, you know, lets people all around the world trade and sell them to each other, which is really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, the good and bad of the internet, right? But that, I think, making that world, you know, smaller, you know, and more connected.
Yeah.
You know, helps a lot, you know, especially in the more unique items when you're trying to find something specific, you know, you used to only sell to your local neighborhood. Now it's like you can sell to the whole world.
Yeah. And there are people, like I mentioned earlier, you know, one of my first purchases was a guy who was selling online who wanted to get out of it and just sold me all of his inventory, but he didn't have a brick and mortar store. And there's a ton of people doing that who just sell out of their apartments and mail, you know, once a week, go to the post office and mail records to people. So, a lot of stores actually start that way and then move into opening a brick and mortar. We did the reverse. We started with the brick and mortar, and just now we're getting into selling online and mailing stuff out. Yeah.
So for any of our listeners that aren't local, they can order online certain things?
Yeah. We're on Discogs. We're called It's Andy's Online is our handle, and you can find us on there. We mostly list our collector's records, our more expensive stuff that's up on the picture shelves, that, you know, hopefully somebody out there is looking for.
What's the most expensive vinyl you have right now?
I think the most expensive album
or rare
we have right now is around $450.
Oh wow!
And that's like a sealed original master recording of a Pink Floyd album.
Okay.
The OMR, the original master recordings are from the Mobile Fidelity Sound Labs, and they're these high fidelity audiophile reissues of classic albums that they've done in a few series starting in the 80s and going through, still currently doing them. So
it's a new, it's like they recently made it.
No, this one was a reissue in the 90s maybe. Or 80. This is from either the 80s or the 90s, but it's still sealed, and it's this high fidelity collector's record, and people go crazy for Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin and a few others. So I think those are the most expensive ones. We've got a few of those in the shop right now.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Do you have like one that you're like proud that you hunted down, found that's like rare that you ever had?
In my collection or in the store?
In general,
either
one.
I definitely have some in my collection that I'm, really stoked to have found. There's a couple in the shop, that I think are super cool to have. It's different when the ones that we have to sell, I'm stoked and proud to have them because I'm stoked somebody brought them in to us so that we can sell them. The ones in my collection, I had that treasure hunting moment of finding it at some store.
There's nothing more rewarding,
Exactly.
Like you flip through it and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah. So there's a few. There's one in my collection, and it's from one of my favorite like post-punk bands. And it's just, again, it came out in the late 90s at a time when there wasn't a lot of vinyl being made, and I found one. And the whole packaging is designed to look like a pack of shower caps. And
Okay.
and to the point where there's actually a shower cap that the record is inside of in the sleeve, so you pull out the record and you have to unwrap a shower cap from around it to play it. So that was a cool find.
What's the blend today of new artists doing vinyl? Is everybody who's a big name doing it? Is it country, rap, everybody?
Everybody, big and small. Everybody's doing vinyl. They're still doing CDs. A lot of people are doing cassette. A lot of people are doing cassette tapes again. Yeah, CD collecting is back. Cassette tapes are back. A lot of kids coming in and looking through CDs and cassettes. I don't know with the CDs. I've got if it's got something to do with the cars they're driving, having CD players, but it's cheap. And records have gotten expensive again, so it makes sense.
Again, they're so expensive. Some of the new stuff, it's like, I just don't get it. I mean, I get everything's more expensive today, but some of the vinyls, man, it's crazy. But
yeah, $40-$50 if it's a double album. Yeah.
But if you really like it, you're really into it. Everyone's got their thing, right? The amount of money I've spent on camera gear, people would think I'm absolutely insane.
Yeah, and it really is, there's no better way to support an artist you like than buying their music or going to see them live. And if you can buy it, directly from them, that's great. And if you can buy it from a local record store, that's great too. But they're not getting, any of your money from your Spotify subscription.
They're
So
$3 for 1 million listens or whatever. Some of the artists have come out, the no money they make, it's unreal.
So I like being able to do both. You can explore new music, figure out what you're really into and not into, and then because supporting them directly by buying an album has gotten kind of expensive, you can make sure that the ones you buy are ones you really like and bands you want to be supporting.
You guys have a listening room too in the shop, right?
Yeah, we do.
And is that for can I bring in my own vinyl, or how's that work? Or you listen to stuff you've got, or how's that work?
I mean, the idea is to be able to listen to stuff, that you find in the shop that you want to listen to. But if somebody brought in a record and asked if they could put it on and go to the listening room, I don't think I'd stop them.
Oh, right.
So yeah, basically, the turntable is behind the counter. And if you, find a used record in the shop and you want to check it out, you can bring it up to the register and we'll put it on for you. And you can go back into the listening room, and the receiver's in there, so you can have control of sitting back there and control the volume and sit and listen.
Love that.
Yeah.
I don't think we kind of glazed over it. So what are the days and hours right now you guys open?
Right now we're open Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we're closed Monday through Wednesday. I do buying appointments and stuff like that. And I mentioned I think my wife and I were just talking about it. I don't see us ever being open on Monday or Tuesday. I don't just see it being worth it, really.
Yeah.
Maybe expanding to Wednesdays. Right now, we do Wednesday afternoons and evenings when the evening farmers market is going on downtown.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But when that market's not going on, it just Wednesdays don't make much sense for us either. So that's sort of right now it's Thursday through Sunday, and then when farmers market's going on, it's Wednesday through Sunday.
Yeah, and that farmer's market's awesome. I mean, there's so many people out. I'd love it.
Yeah, it's great. And so, and it's nice to have a Wednesday evening farmer's market too. So, just opening up in the afternoon and evening on Wednesday and catching, people coming in when they're before and after they shop is great.
Yeah. And then, and I think Gray's Lake does a great job too of just some of it feels like almost monthly now, maybe especially in the summer, maybe almost every weekend, but all the different fests they've got going, just a lot of people downtown.
Yeah, the Village and the Grays Lake Chamber, they do such a great job, and there's so much stuff going on downtown. It's part of the reason, my family and I wanted to move here, and part of the reason I saw right away that I wanted to get involved in having a business there.
How did you? I mean, Grace Lake's small. Do you have a previous connection to the town, or how did you find out about it?
No, we were living in Vernon Hills,
okay.
And we would come over here for the farmers market actually somewhat regularly. And my wife's parents grew up in Round Lake, so they grew up coming to Tasty Freeze here, and we were looking. We wanted to be near a lake. I wanted to be on a lake, and we wanted to have some walkability into a nice little downtown area, and we sort of found everything we wanted here. So yeah.
So you're on Grays Lake?
We are. Yeah, we're on the lake, right on Lake Street.
Love it.
Yeah.
You're right.
I literally
you could have walked here almost.
It was a 3-minute drive.
Yeah.
I could have paddled across the lake here. Yeah.
Love it. Yeah, the Grays Lake. My wife goes paddleboarding out there all the time, and
I sit there and I drone shot her.
Yeah.
Like, it's not my thing, but I'll use my drone. I'll
Awesome.
check it out.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great community. So we are really happy we landed here, and we just love it.
If someone was thinking about starting their own business, what piece of advice would you give them?
Oh, wow. So many pieces of advice I could give.
How much time do we have? Right?
Yeah. What they say, the 5 Ps, proper planning prevents poor performance.
Oh, my God. I haven't heard that in a minute.
Just plan stuff out, budget. I've seen so many businesses open and close just because they weren't thinking ahead for all the expenses they were going to have and all the things they were going to do. The best resource that I found here locally around Grays Lake, and these exist all over the state, when we were getting ready to open the record store, was the SBDC, the Small Business Development Center, which is a branch of the SBA.
Okay.
And they have something like, I want to say 20 to 30 locations around the state of Illinois, and there happens to be one at CLC here in Grays Lake.
It's in CLC.
It's in CLC, and they have counselors, guidance, resource, classes, all types of stuff for free. You can meet...
Hang on. For free? Can we just say that louder for the people in the back? It's free.
Completely free. You can make an appointment. You can go meet with, and it's a lot of like their business teachers and people who work in that department at CLC.
Okay.
And talking to them about what you want to do, they will, point you in the right direction, give you resources to find, all the things you need to do to incorporate, to figure out what type of permitting you need, to find spaces, accountants, lawyers, everything. They can point you in the right direction for anything that you are like, I want to start a business, but I don't know how to do this part, or this hurdle seems daunting. They will point you in the right direction. It's an amazing resource, and it's right here in Grays Lake.
Man, the Small Business Development Center in CLC, College of Lake County, for those who don't know that, and it's free. Our favorite word on this show.
Yeah.
It's free 99.
Yeah, it's a branch of the SBA, the Small Business Association, which is a federally funded, organization, and so it's free for everyone, and we're lucky enough that we have one right here in Grays Lake.
And maybe you didn't use this part, but do they help people that are looking at like different grants or small business loans?
Yeah,
too?
absolutely. Yeah. So it's funny enough, we found them, shortly after we decided to open the record store. I forget the guy's name. He's not with them anymore, but the guy who was sort of running that department at the time was doing a lecture at the Grays Lake Library. Which was for small business people who wanted to start a small business. And we thought, what the heck, let's go see. And he said, hey, come see us, set up appointments. And we did, and we met with them. And they do virtual appointments too, so you don't even have to leave your house.
Come on, guys.
You can literally,
no excuses now.
You can literally do it over phone or the Zoom, and the Zoom. I sounded so old when I said that. On the internets,
on the line.
Yeah. So, but you can do it without leaving your house, and they'll give you so many resources and follow up with emails and links and everything you need to do what you got to do.
Come on, guys. We got all the resources. So stop waiting. Stop thinking about it. Free resources are the best. So, our taxes pay for them. We pay our taxes.
That's right. Yeah. So don't feel bad about taking advantage of them.
You paid for it.
Yeah.
So, all right, we got to circle back. Did you think of anything that you would have done differently in the past 2 years?
If I could have done it differently, I think I would have. If I could figure out a way to hire an employee so I didn't have to work on weekends all the time, I would do that. But I don't know how I really would have figured that out. So
more money.
But yeah. More free time if I could do it. But that seems impossible.
Yeah. Well, and then you got to figure out. So we talked about just life balance, but then you have to figure out the balance of working in the business and on the business.
Mm-hmm.
And I think almost everybody I've ever had on this podcast has struggled with that. Because whether it's trust, ego, whatever that is, of allowing someone to do it so I can focus on the the greater image. But I think that's a delicate balance in itself too. Especially if one day you get some employees so you don't have to work weekends.
I know, it'd be great. People are asking us all the time. We're just, we're not in a position to be hiring yet.
Yeah. I mean, there's probably a laundry list of people that would love to work there.
It's cool. I'm flattered that, a lot of, high school and college and younger people, want to work at the record store. And I would love to have them at some point. We got to get there.
Internships. Yeah, internship.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, some shameless plugs. What's the best way for people to find you online, anything like that you want to plug?
Sure, yeah. I mean, we're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. You can find us, Andy's Records, YouTube, Andy's Records Live.
Records Live. I gotta
And,
check that out.
follow us, subscribe, and check out the YouTube channel. And then we've got a website. It's andysrecords.shop. That's got an events calendar you can subscribe to. And it'll auto-populate to the calendar on your phone, so you can never miss an event at the shop.
No excuses.
Yeah.
Man, I love how you got that all set up so well. I know there's social media is one of those like necessary evils, right? Like
I
the
completely
good and the
agree.
bad,
Yeah.
you know?
Luckily,
Again,
Instagram, we like to say, is my wife's favorite game. So, it was like a pet project to her. Like, how can I get this account up to 1,000 views,
Yeah.
1,000 followers right away? That was the first sort of benchmark. And she enjoys doing it, and she does a great job with it. So luckily, I can do the minimum on there because I'm not a big fan.
yeah, but it's one of those things. I can't, you have to have it, man.
Like you said, necessary evil.
Evil,
It's like,
yeah.
it's just part of doing business.
It's almost like if you didn't do social media, people would just not think you exist because it's
For
like
sure.
they hear about you and the first thing they go do is check out your social, and it's like, well, if you don't have one, no, they don't exist.
Yep.
That doesn't work like that. But all right, I guess I'm making a social media on everything, and it's like, you got Instagram, you got the Facebook, you got TikTok, YouTube. It's just like
Blue Sky.
Blue Sky, the X, if anyone still uses that, or formerly known as Twitter. It seems pointless to change the name because everyone does it that way. But anyway, before we wrap up here, I always give an opportunity. Is there any businesses you would recommend we should have on the show?
Ooh, let's see. Have you done Beer Bazaar?
Oh gosh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, we
yeah.
got Nodder.
Forgive me for not knowing that.
Yeah,
But yeah.
come on, man. How many? I should have asked you. How many episodes have you listened
Yeah,
to?
all of them,
Yeah,
obviously. Man, I love Beer Bazaar. It's one of my favorite places in town. The 1908 is really awesome. I don't know if you've spoken with her yet, but she's got a really cool store, and they're doing a really cool thing there. And I love the non-traditional, retail space that they've got going
they did
over
such
there.
a great job with the shop.
So I think she'd be a great person to talk to. Yeah.
I will have to check that. You're, I think, the second or third person on the show that's meant. So that's on me now. Now I gotta reach out to her and get her on the show. So, well, and then there's an opportunity if this anything we didn't cover, anything you were hoping to talk about. This is your episode. So if there was anything we missed, let us know.
No, I think that's it. I think I've shamelessly self-promoted as much as I needed to, and I don't have anything else I was dying to get off my chest.
Well, I love it. Well, I appreciate you coming on today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Well, thanks, Nick. And Andy's Records in Grays Lake. As always, guys, we are going to plug everything in the socials because we have to, right? We got websites, Instagrams, Facebooks, his YouTube Live, which sounds really awesome. I can't wait to check that out.
It's all on the internets.
On the internets, and then we'll Zoom about it later. Guys, so if you're looking for vinyl, have some vinyl to sell, check out Andy's Records in Grays Lake. As always, we should support small, shop local, and until next time, goodbye for now.
Another episode and another incredible local business you wish you'd have found sooner. If you had fun today, share this with someone who needs to hear it, leave a review, and most importantly, put your money where your community is. Find a local business, show them some love, and tell them Small Business Big Dreams sent you. I'm Eric Bohl. Shop small, dream big, and until next time, goodbye for now.